hidden price of being needed. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Sacred Man Experience podcast. I'm Imran Muhammad, aka the Pattern Interrupter. Here we speak about the journey of manhood through the lens of faith, how to be strong but also soft, how to lead but also to listen. Today I want to explore something that often looks like a strength on the surface, but carries a hidden cost underneath. Being needed, being the person others rely on, being the one who solves problems, being the one people turn to when things fall apart. It feels meaningful, it feels purposeful, it feels important, and in many ways it is. But like many patterns in human behavior, there is a point where something valuable can become something draining. Let me explain. In my experience, working across coaching, behavioral change environments, rehabilitation settings, prison chaplaincy work, and supporting individuals through personal transformation, I have noticed a reoccurring pattern. Some of the most dependable people are also the most exhausted. Some of the most helpful people are also the most emotionally depleted. And some of the most giving individuals have very little space left for themselves. Let me give you a picture. I once worked with individuals who were known for being the strong one in their family, in their environment, the person everyone went to, the person who fixed things, the person who stayed calm when others panicked. And over time, this identity becomes reinforced. People become and begin to expect it. People begin to rely on it. And so, slowly, without noticing, the individual begins to disappear behind the role. They are no longer just a person, they are a function, a problem solver, a support system, a constant presence for others. Now, here is something very, very important. When someone becomes consistently needed by others, they often stop being present for themselves. Not intentionally, not gradually. Because what tends to happen is that over a certain time period, and because of the time, energy, and emotional capacity are consistently directed outward. And what is not replenished inwardly begins to deplete. Now, let's dive in a little more deeper. Many people derive meaning from being needed. It gives a sense of identity, a sense of value, a sense of importance. But there is a subtle danger here. Because if your sense of worth becomes dependent on being needed, then silence can feel like emptiness. Rest can feel like guilt. And boundaries can feel like rejection. So the person continues to give even when they are tired, even when they are overwhelmed, even when they are running on empty. Because stopping feels uncomfortable. Let me bring this into the real world and into real life. I have seen people who are incredibly capable in supporting others. They are the emotional anchor, the practical problem solver, the reliable one. But when you ask them, who supports you? there is an often silence or a vague answer or no answer at all. Because their identity has been built outward, not inward. Now, let's be clear. Helping others is not the problem. Service is not the problem. Support is not the problem. The problem begins when there is no balance, when giving becomes constant and receiving becomes absent. Now, I want to highlight something important. Human beings are not designed for one directional emotional flow. No. If you only give, you eventually deplete. If you only support others without being supported, you eventually burn out. Not dramatically, quietly, gradually, until one day, even small demands feel overwhelming. Now, I want to bring this into reflection. Many people do not realize that being needed can become addictive because it creates validation, it creates identity, it creates meaning. It can also create pressure because if you are always needed, you are never free. Now, let's go deeper into the behavior. People who are always needed often struggle with boundaries. They struggle to say no. They struggle to step back. They struggle to prioritize themselves without guilt. Because somewhere inside, they have learned my value comes from what I do for others, not from who they are. Now, I want to offer you three very simple questions to reflect. Question one: do I feel guilty when I'm not helping someone? Question two: am I neglecting my own needs while focusing on others? And question number three: if I stopped being needed, would I still feel valued? These questions reveal something deeper than behavior. They reveal identity. I want to close with this. You are not only here to support others, you are also here to sustain yourself. And if you lose yourself in the process of helping others, eventually your ability to help becomes compromised anyway. So today, take a moment and be honest. Where in your life have you become essential to others, but unvaluable to yourself? Because sometimes the most important form of growth is not doing more, it is learning where to step back. Thank you for joining me on the Sacred Man Experience podcast. Until next time, stay grounded, stay honest, and continue to become the person you were created to be. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.